Okay, so, and don't let your neighbors know you're a ham, really. I mean, don't make a point of it. I mean, yeah, I've got a ham license plate and a whip on the roof of my car, and not one soul has ever asked me, what's that? So, it shows they're not that curious, and nobody wants trouble. So, so eventually the ATAS was okay. It had, but it was only limited to, the 100-watt power of the 991A. So then I wanted to get more power. So I had to look for an antenna that could handle more power, and the Tar Heel, this is the little Tar Heel HP, high power. And so that's rated, I think, up like 300 watts or even a little more if you're doing, SSB. I've been banging that thing with anywhere between 200 and 300 watts of FT8, which is a more serious loading because it's 50% on and 50% off while you're actually at work. And if you're banging away CW all day, I mean, let's face it, that's a true 50% duty cycle. With the Tar Heel alone, this is my first attempt at the balcony, besides a little whip for the 2-meter 440, which was a little MFJ whip, which I put on a little metal stand. That was fairly invisible because it's just a little dinky thing. But eventually I had to, I said, well, I'll camouflage the screwdriver antenna. And if you look up from the street, you really got to strain yourself to see I got anything of any interest on my balcony. I broke down and bought the Tar Heel's official mount because I had some cheapo mounts and they were shorting out. It's this 3/8 inch stud mount on some of these antennas. It's not an electrically great situation where you got a great big stud going through a sheet metal plate, and none of these people seem to really do a good job of preventing it from short circuiting. But the Tar Heel, they're nice people. I actually spoke to Mr. Tar Heel. I mean, these are just old people hanging in there as long as they can, and as long as people are buying these antennas. But it's just a little one-man wife and husband shop. So the Tar Heel there, you got this long coil, and they're at the very end here. This slides up and down the antenna. So at the low end, it'll tune down to certainly 40 meters. It'll tune 80, but it doesn't. There's no with a 32-inch whip. You're not gonna. It's not even worth the effort.
Right.
If it'll tune all the way up to 6 meters, and you're pretty well kissing the other end of the coil. There's no coil, so there's a controller that counts how many times the antenna, the motor rotates, and that position, and it stores it in memory. And this Ameritron screwdriver controller, of course, that's MFJ and all of that. If you get it, you might not get it anymore if it's not in stock somewhere. But there's several other brands of screwdriver controllers, and you don't even need a controller if you want to manually up down. Just a simple up down switch will run the motor too. Just reverse the polarity up and down. So I got along with this pretty well, and just mounted, and I put all these labels on just to remind me what I'm doing, and I got thousands, 10,000 contacts using this setup. So then the last year, was it the last year that I put up this wire antenna, right? So I switched off to an end-fed long wire antenna.
Gotcha.
And this is like $100 antenna. I bought it through Ham Radio Outlet was distributed this. It's a 24-foot wire. I have a 17-foot long balcony, so I have the balun on the ground, and the wire goes up about midway up across, and there's just not much left on the other side.
Right.
And that's been working pretty well.
Dr. Chung, what floor are you on?
I'm on the third floor,
Okay.
but the building is on about 120 feet above sea level.
Gotcha. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so we're at the high point
Right.
in Greenwich, right near the Second Congregational.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know.
Huge,
That's
right,
fine. Okay.
right off of Millbank
Yes.
Avenue,
Very good.
right by Christ Church,
Right.
Temple Shalom, in their backyard. So this long wire antenna, yeah, I have to use the antenna tuner. It's not particularly. Remember, it's a long wire. It's not resonant at all. So the antenna tuner, either the internal. So I'm using a Flex 6400, and I bought the internal. I added the internal tuner card, and that does a damn good job tuning this antenna up. No problem at all. And I also have a kilowatt standalone antenna tuner, and either one of those will tune these things up. So there's my balcony again. Now behind the flag is a Arrow J-pole antenna.
Gotcha. Okay.
Very patriotic.
and with a clip holding the flag to the wire so it doesn't flap too much. So that's your Sunday night net there. And that antenna works just fine, and again, nothing to see from the street. So you can see all the mess I was putting up the next experimental antenna the other day, which I will report on. So another type of antenna is what's called a broadband terminated dipole.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I had bought a BW broadband terminated dipole maybe 10 years ago, and this is like a big mess of wire and
Right.
spreaders, and God, I could actually never quite get it up where it didn't twist itself into a short circuit. So I've been trying to unload this on you guys at the different ham fests for a while, and then I ran across it, believe it or not, on Facebook. I ran across an article. There's some antenna group on Facebook, and they were talking about essentially what's known as a broadband terminated loop. And so I looked into that some more, and this is what I actually put up. It's 17 feet wide balcony. There's a 9-to-1 balun. In the case of my antenna, it was a 12-to-1 balun and a 600 ohm terminating resistor. Now, there's things about this type of antenna is it's extremely broadband. I mean, across, from like 160 to 30, it's flat. And I will show you how flat.
I just want to explain to you. These are great antennas.
But they're lossy as hell.
Yes. You can't say one without the other.
Right.
For their purpose, though, to get you on the air on everything, they're a great antenna. But you are going to pay some efficiency losses on the longer bands. On the short bands, I don't know that it's that much of a difference, though. You know?
Well,
But it's an interesting design to apply to your situation. though.
Yeah, well, BW sells this to the military.
Right.
They make it in stainless steel and essentially, and disposable.
I've
It's
got
like,
one of them home in my
it's
attic
like, it's
from one
too
of the
much of a
estates.
pain to roll this thing back up. So if once you hang it in the trees wherever you're camped out for the night,
Right.
and you're ready to break camp, well, you'll leave the antenna because it'll take you half an hour to try to,
I hate to say this, but I remember being over your house and seeing the remains of it.
yeah. Yeah. So I took that poor thing and I basically, had to trim it. And I have half the wire left over. And I basically, it's sitting it's going up on the top of my balcony underneath the upper cover. And it's sitting on a few inches off the floor at the bottom.
Right.
And it's sitting near the steel railing, and surprisingly, it works. So I will. It has other little parts. There's the. So this was from the B and W. So I took all of. I saw the design, and I said, I got all those.
Is it a live
No,
plant or is
I
it
said I got all those.
Looks like Adam in the Garden of Eden.
Yeah, that's all from Amazon, from China, China, right. And I had bought, covers it all up, hides all sins,
Right. I'm looking, wait a minute, stop, could you go back?
yeah.
I'm looking carefully. Over to my right, I'm seeing a wire. So you're using that as a ground?
And that one's not connected at the moment.
Oh,
It's
okay,
an
fine.
alternate.
Very good.
We try different designs and we see what works, so,
No, so I was just curious to ask, seeing the clamp, did you ever try firing up the balcony railing?
not directly yet, but I could take this.
It'll work.
Everything the thing is, everything will work.
Right.
That's the whole point.
You'd be surprised.
A piece of wire will get you out. Even a light bulb will get you out with enough power.
Yeah, now show them the other part.
So here's what the transformer is. It's simple. It's 12 to 1. It's rated at 500 watts continuous. So I should be able to use that on FT8. And there's its resistor. And again, this is what I salvaged out of the antenna package I bought. I chopped up the copper wire. In fact, I only had to break two connections. I was able to piece this all together without really a lot of trouble. It was I made a little hook on each side of the bricks to hang the resistor. I used some Gorilla construction glue, which kind of looked to me like silicone. And so I put little hooks for the resistor and the. Somebody here? Fred.
The boss.
Oh, Fred, how are you?
Hey. Okay. Hi, Fred. All right. So salvaging all these parts, I hung the resistor on one side and the balun low on the other side, so they're kind of sitting asymmetrically, but it's still the same length of wire, so the whole thing is still balanced from the length of wire aspect. They could have had them even, but I wanted to keep the wire, keep as much hidden as possible. So I then said, what do I have here? And I actually decided I'd run some experiments, some data. So first thing I did was check what is the SWR of the long wire end fed versus this loop antenna that I have. And so in the bypass mode for the long wire antenna, yeah, every frequency, the SWR was greater than 3, and the flex tuner could pretty well bring them all down, 1.1, 1.2, so on. in the balcony loop antenna, without any tuning, they were certainly all usable, even up through 40 meters, where you had 2.1 as the SWR. So that, and with the tuner, they all tuned up beautifully. So then I said, well, what is actually going out of these antennas? Haha. So, remember when we went and picked up to the last house we went to, taking out their trash?
Mm-hmm.
So I bought this little Heathkit power meter the guy had. The Hallicrafters radio I dragged over to my grandson. I said I'll get it working someday. So what I did was I wanted to see, well, am I actually putting any power into the air? Now this is not a really good test because this is all near field. I mean the antenna is, there, and this is on the inside of my windowsill. So, I'm 6 feet away, 8 feet from the antenna. But the end-fed long wire seemed to have the highest signal output, and the screwdriver gave me a respectable signal, and kind of as expected, this loop was down at 63%. So definitely losing power into that terminating resistor. I felt the resistor, and it was warm. It was warm, yeah.
How many watts were you putting out?
In this particular experiment, I was running 70 because I didn't have the linear. The linear had the other axiom is, besides loose lip sync ships, it's loose wire sync equipment, and so I'd gotten a little burp into that PAL star and creamed the transistor. So, which is a lot to say. If you're ever thinking about buying a linear, it's nice to have solid state, but you can't kill a tube.
Yeah.
But you can kill all the electronics around it. If you get a complicated one, you can still kill it.
Yeah.
But if you buy one of these stupid,
200.
if you buy a little Amertron or what, that's just tube and a coil, there's nothing to kill. Okay, so this says to me, at least everything is putting out power. Everything was not very visible. So a conclusion of all of that is, yeah, I'll stick using the end-fed long wire, and I'll leave up the loop until I get tired of looking at it, and maybe reconfigure it for another experiment. It's kind of nice to have experiments going on. So then I was doing some research on the internet, and they were just pretty much describe. Here, found this page. I asked the Microsoft AI guy assistant to give me some information. So it said, yeah, terminated loop antenna, yeah, wideband performance, lower efficiency. Dipole antenna, simple and efficient, but requires tuning. Vertical antennas, omnidirectional, small footprint, but requires a good ground. So the ground on my Tar Heel is that steel railing, so I had chip off a little paint after they painted it. We had the co-op is very touchy about the balconies because we just spent like close to $1 million waterproofing the balconies. They were all, one had to be completely replaced. The fourth floor one that got all the rain exposure was really just essentially rotting out down to the rebars. So that was, but now everything's good. Then the next antenna to try is a mag loop. Now, years ago, I gave a talk on mag loops and built something that didn't work too well. But I've got some more new ideas, and I'll, the next time I feel motivated, I still have my mag loop capacitor controller, and I had scarfed some nice aluminum 3/8 inch diameter aluminum tubing, and so I may try that experiment, and when I have something to report, I'll report to the club on it. Now, there's other ways, of course, of stringing this loop design, whether you have the terminators on the side or you have the terminators top and bottom. You know, that this antenna seems to work everywhere. In fact, there was this one crazy thing in the article I ran across. They show just run it all around the perimeter of your house. Look at this, an attic antenna. They've got the terminator, the balun, and they've run it the entire perimeter of the eaves of the attic, the sides. So it's a design that it's really, you can do anything with that loop design. If you have the balun and the resistor, you can go wild. Just fill up all available space, and you'll get the best results. And the other thing is that this terminated loop also will give you slightly lower noise. So, to conclude, your other options are, of course, flagpole antennas, loop antennas, conventional attic installation of dipoles. People have done that. Now, they keep talking about the Amateur Radio Parity Act, but it still has not passed. I mean, it seems to be heavily promoted by Chris Murphy in the Senate. Our senator keeps pushing for it. Remember, we're the ham radio state with ARRL here. So if it ever became law, it lets you come out of the closet because they can't stop you. You can ask for accommodation. But that's this current light of situation in Washington. I think this is a fairly low priority for our Congress right now. So, yes. So the Copilot, Microsoft Copilot cranked out these words, but if you're looking for specific HOA wording, check the covenants, conditions, and restrictions, before you move in. There happened to be none in my organizing papers for my apartment. The only thing they had was they had recently removed the use of satellite dishes because the building had been wired for cable. So that was the only thing I noticed about radios yeah, they can't, and no one's complained to me in 5 years. I haven't heard anybody say, well, I get this strange buzzing, or no, I haven't heard it. I haven't heard anything. So again, don't ask, don't tell. So other things though, RF in the shack. Yeah, I bought one of these Chinese EMF meters for $69.95 on Amazon, and yeah, I got RF in the room, but depending on how you configure it, whether you put in, an isolating balun between your transmitter and the transmission line out to try to, keep the RF out of the shack. I get an awful lot of contacts to the villages of Florida, so there's tons of hidden hams in there, all with flagpole antennas, I'd assume. Read your house rules, and absence of prohibitions does not allow you to go wild, and worry about RF interference, and if it's getting into your own gear, it's probably bothering other people. So with that, I'll take any questions.
How do you get your transmission line from the outside on the patio into your room?
Well, okay, I got these windows that,
Oh, okay.
and I've just squish in the gap. I squish them. Now, there's also a very thin. They sell this little flat line with SO30 239 connectors on either side, but it has limited power capability. Then of course there was this MFJ had a panel that you could put in under to open the window and put that in with it.
Yeah, you sold me yours.
Yeah, yes,
Do you have access to the roof?
not allowed. Yeah, sure. I mean the door's open, but no. Then I'll see the wire.
No, there are ways to make it.
No, I mean, can I pay off the super? No, because this is a co-op, and I was on the board and I didn't dare bring it up.
Well, I'm not saying to hang it on the roof, but on the side, on the perimeter, you could do it.
Drop
Well,
And no one will see it.
Well, right now it's sort of, I can't get to, well, there has to be a wire going up to the roof. I'm on the 3rd floor, the roof's 4th floor, there's a wire.
Right.
If I were on the other side of the building, I could go a little wilder because nobody could see me from the street, just the way the
Well, you
building.
gotta move to the 4th floor.
I need to move to the east side of the building to the 4th
So I
floor.
said, you ain't moving nowhere.
No, I'm too tired and too old to move again. So they just have to carry. That's what they told me when I moved in here. They said, yeah, they'll carry you out of here. Really? I mean, the other night, we look out the window, there's an ambulance, police cars.
Yeah, at least once a week.
Yeah, they come regularly. Meat wagon, yeah. Well, on that happy note, I'll,
Thank you, John.
okay. This is